Welcome back to another episode of the Ian Fritts Show. We have the Week 5 preview show. Lots of fun games, huge games. Georgia, Alabama. Let's get into it.
He has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal.
Okay, folks, it's here. It's right here, right there. A lot of big games in Week 5. We're starting at the end of the top 25. Number 24, number 25. Here we go. Boise State at home against Washington State. Boise State -7. Let me do a quick aside. If you're new here, you see this right here. 2024 record, 52-25. Last week, Week 4, we were 12-6. We are soaring and flying high right now with these picks, ladies and gentlemen. 52-25 in 2024. We are doing incredibly well. So pay attention. I only go with the gut. And the gut in this Boise State, Washington State game tells me Boise State -7 points. I think dark horse for the Heisman. Not really a dark horse because everybody's talking about it, and the Heisman this year is wide open as I've ever seen it. Ashton, Jeanty, however you say his last name, I've heard it pronounced 150 different ways. I've said it 350 different ways. He's going to run for 3,000 yards this weekend against Washington State. You can write that down, quote me on it. We'll do whatever you want. 3,000 yards this weekend. Book it. Boise State is the gut. -7 at home against Washington State. Excuse the sniffles. I have the sniffles. No big deal. Arkansas at Texas A&M. Texas A&M -4. And look, this one technically is not at Texas A&M. They play it in Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium. It's a travesty that we're playing in these NFL stadiums. Do a home and home, ladies and gentlemen. One of you goes there this year. One of you goes there the next year. It's that easy, and it would make the games that much more enjoyable. Everybody's trying to be OU Texas. Everybody's trying to do all these neutral site matchups, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It only works when you have something that historic like OU and Texas. This we're trying to make this OU Texas here, basically, except it's Arkansas, Texas A&M. It doesn't even have the same ring to it, okay? I'll get off my soapbox. No, I won't. This should be being played at Kyle Field right now, okay? Anyways, look, Arkansas is one of the most volatile teams in all of college football. They will show you some of the greatest plays you've ever seen, especially their quarterback, Green. He will show you some of the best plays you've ever seen. Heisman level, escaping the pocket, throwing the ball downfield runs. Now, do not mistake what I just said. I did not say he's a Heisman level quarterback. I say he has made Heisman level plays. There's a difference. There's 500 guys out there. 500 is a lot. There's 50 guys out there that are making Heisman level plays, but they don't do it consistently. That's why they don't win the Heisman. Okay. Green, he does it, once or twice a game, and then he throws the ball to the other team 3 times. So that's why he's not going to win the Heisman. Okay. Now, who's going to win this game? Boom. The gut, Arkansas. I think Arkansas wins this football game. Obviously, that means I think they cover the points. But give me Arkansas regardless. +4 points. We'll take that all day. Texas A&M, I think the struggle bus continues. And I love the Razorbacks in this one. Next game up. Oh, boy. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. -5.5 for the Wildcats, who got their butts kicked by the Cougars of BYU last weekend at about 2 a.m. And Oklahoma State, coincidentally, also got their butts kicked, not by the Cougars, but by the Utes, which still don't know what a Ute is. Nobody does. Look, Oklahoma State, I want to say this as nicely as I can because I'm not trying to make anybody upset here, except I am. Oklahoma State's they've looked horrific. Quite honestly, they've looked about as bad as you can look with 35-year-olds on your offensive line, 35-year-old quarterback, 35-year-old defensive backs, a 55-year-old head coach. They've looked about as bad as you possibly can, okay? They had the best running back in all of college football last year, and the guy runs for 30 yards a game this year. something is not working. And this week last year was when Oklahoma State switched it all around and they said we're going to be a completely different offense. Can they do that again this year? Jury's still out, but they'll be back in this weekend. And with that all being said, give me Kansas State. Look, I think Kansas State bounces back. And if you look at the EPA play rate, okay, EPA success rate, it's a fancy thing for did we get beat that bad? Okay. Great guy on Twitter. Follow him, Parker Fleming. Great stuff out there. Okay. Kansas State was not that far off against BYU. However, they still lost 31-9 or 38-9, whatever it was. You don't want that. However, they weren't that far off. You know who was a little far off? Oklahoma State. Yeah, not good for the Cowboys, okay? Not good for the Cowboys. It's not going to be good for the Cowboys this weekend. Kansas State all day, minus 5.5. Speaking of the BYU Cougars and the Baylor Bears, Big 12, man, the Big 12 has some interesting football games, okay? But this one's clear as mud. BYU plus 2.5. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, what people have seen in the Baylor Bears to make this line 2.5. I get it. Look, it's at home. Waco's a tough place to play. BYU is a sneaky team. Sneaky team. Watch out, Big 12. Watch out. Okay, well, I'm going to take a sip before I talk about this one because people might just gouge their eyes out. OU minus 2.5 at Auburn. Just if you're a fan of one of these two teams, my heart goes out to you this weekend because this game might end up being 2-0. And if that's the case, we won't win because I like Oklahoma to cover. I just think their defense is that much better than Auburn. But this game could very well be 6-3 at the end of it. So give me OU. Okay, here's the first big one of the weekend. Illinois at Penn State, minus 17.5 for the Penn State and Nittany Lions. Now, if you know anything about this football game, you know a couple weeks ago, Penn State announced their whiteout game, and everybody's like, we're going to whiteout. We're doing a whiteout against Illinois. Why are we doing it against Illinois? Well, you have a top 20 team coming into your building. Maybe those Penn State and Nittany Lion administrative people knew what they were doing when they said, hey, we got a good football team coming to town. We're going to do a whiteout. And they're taking their opportunity. They're doing a whiteout now. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, pause this video real quick. Or just wait until the end of the video and remember that I said it. Google Penn State whiteout highlights. I'm not sure what's going to pop up, but I know some good stuff's going to pop up. So go Penn State, Nittany Lion whiteout. Google it. Do whatever you have to do to see what this thing is all about. But it is electric. It's on the bucket list for me to go to one. I'm not sure how I'll get there, when I'll get there, why I will get there. We know why, because the Penn State Nittany Lion whiteout is top 10 atmosphere in college football. Okay. Now, shifting gears, Illinois fighting Illini. I'm not sure what an Illini is either, but I guess it's just the plural of Illinois. Luke Altmaier, quarterback, last week performed beautifully on the road, hostile environment, national game on TV against a really, really good defense in the Nebraska Cornhuskers. He's facing a really good defense again this week. Can he have, he doesn't even have to have the same numbers per se. Can he have just the same performance type? Or was it just a one-off situation? Okay. Last year, he showed, hey, I'm turnover prone. I'm not ready for the big moments. Okay. This year, he's shown turnovers, not me. Not me. I don't turn the ball over. That's not something us and Illini do. Okay. That's not something the plural of Illinois does. We don't turn the ball over. And he showed up in big games. Now, they've only had one. Technically, you could say they had two because of Kansas. At that time, Kansas was ranked. Is that a big game now looking back at Kansas? No, they kind of stink. But at the time, it was a big game. And he showed up. He showed up against Nebraska as well. Do we have a big game Luke Altmaier? Is that what we have? Drew Alar. Is this guy a big-time player? We'll find out today. Not today, excuse me. We'll find out on Saturday. Saturday night, whiteout. The home crowd is behind you 1,000,000%. This is going to be your fourth game with your new offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki. Are you guys going to be able to have it rolling by week 5 against a good defense? Is that something you can do? We'll find out. The numbers. Illinois, they have the 15th ranked defense in all of college football. This is scoring defense because points are what matters. Now, points can be misleading sometimes, but overall, over the trajectory of a season, it will all even out. And we're through 4 games, 4 weeks here. This is a solid defense from Illinois. Now, you dive deeper into the numbers, and the average offense they have faced is the 63rd offense in college football. That's middle of the road. So they're not facing top 20 offenses week in and week out, but they're not facing slouches, 120th ranked offenses week in and week out. So this is a solid group defensively. If you look at the yardages, particularly where they can struggles on the back end of the defense, that is where the defense will struggle the most. Okay, on the back end, they have a solid front seven, solid defensive line. Now they're not gonna overwhelm you with sacks. Okay, they're 26th in sacks. That's good, not great. You would like to be in that top 15 range, but they don't let up a lot of points. So they can hang their hat on that. Also, they force a lot of turnovers and they don't commit a lot of turnovers, okay? They're number 3 in turnover margin in the entire country. We mentioned this last week against Nebraska, in the Nebraska game, okay? On the road in a hostile environment, you need to take care of the football. This thing could get out of hand in the first, second quarter if Luke Altmaier throws 1, 2, 3 interceptions, has a couple fumbles. This could get out of hand quick, especially with the wideout happening. So that's the number I'm looking at for Illinois. The defense, solid. I don't think they're going to let up a lot of points. This is the classic Big Ten football game right here. Lower scoring defense, okay? Now, who takes care of the football? Illinois has done that a little better this year. Penn State, 21st ranked defense in all college football. However, their average offense they have faced is 88th in the country. You would like them to go up a little better offensive teams. Now, Illinois is not going to beat the brakes off you offensively, okay? So this isn't a top 20 offense in all college football. Now, the thing coming into the year with Penn State was this defensive line is going to eat you alive. It is going to eat you alive. They've eaten maybe a couple crumbs off some bread that's fallen on the ground. Okay, they haven't got that full loaf yet. Okay, they could get a full loaf today. Illinois, 88th in sacks allowed. Penn State, they're 114th in sacks. That's the key for me in this game. Can Penn State turn something around here and get after the quarterback? Nebraska, they had shown the ability to get after the quarterback. They couldn't do it against Luke Altmaier and that Illinois offensive line. And Penn State hasn't shown it all year. Is it magically going to change? It needs to for them to cover this 17 and a half. Okay? This is a lot of points. It's 2 touchdowns and a field goal plus an extra point. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, the numbers, they're not jumping off the page at me. They're not screaming, go Penn State, go Illinois. And that's why we don't listen to the numbers on this show. We just present them so you can have a story going into the game, so you can know what to watch for going into the game. We pick based on the gut, and the gut's giving me Illinois Fighting Illini all day, every day. Give me the Illinois Fighting Illini in this one. Next game up, Iowa State minus 12.5 all day, every day. Houston is abysmal. Stanford at pause Clemson. If you are not watching the YouTube and you're just listening, sometimes I call Clemson the pause because that's their logo. Anyways, it's Clemson minus 21.5 all day. They are making strides. Whatever the next word up from stride is, like you have step, then you have stride. What's past stride? That's what the offense is doing in the last couple weeks. They're whatever the next word for stride is, that's what they're doing. Okay. Maybe I need to Google that, figure that out. I will. Louisville at Notre Dame. Gonna take a sip before this one. This is gonna be a fun game. If you want one of these mugs, let me know. We'll get it to you. Okay. We had some problems with shipping. So those of you that have ordered them, we are currently trying to fix that issue, and I think we've got it resolved. So be on the lookout for those mugs. Anyways, Louisville at Notre Dame, minus 6.5 for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Okay. Look, Louisville, their quarterback, Tyler Shaw, however you say it, it's spelled, this is how it's spelled, ladies and gentlemen, Shouugh, Shaw. I think it's Shaw. I'm 99% sure it's Shaw, but it could be Shuck. And then everything in the English language is always spelt differently than it sounds. So, anyways, he has been in college for about 35 years. I I lean maybe 40 based on how old he is. He's been in football a long, long time. Okay, he's been about 3 different schools. However, he's playing his best football right now. He's playing his best football right now. And he's going to have one of his best games to beat this Notre Dame Fighting Irish defense. Fighting Irish? He's going to have a heck of a football game. Okay. Now, Notre Dame, other quarterback, Riley Leonard. People were throwing the bags at Riley Leonard in the portal. Okay. And by people, I mean Notre Dame, especially Marcus Freeman, Fighting Irish. They were throwing the bag, a pretty substantial bag, at Riley Leonard in order to get him to be their quarterback this year. Okay. And that bag has seemingly weighed Riley Leonard down. He probably was carrying it all off season, and his throwing arm must be injured because he has. Listen carefully, folks. The quarterback at Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame historically not the greatest pass offense in history. Okay, however, it's Notre Dame. You should be able to throw the football. Riley Leonard has one passing touchdown through 4 weeks of college football. I'm going to repeat that. He has one passing touchdown through 4 weeks. Pause for effect. Let that soak in. You shouldn't have one passing touchdown through 4 weeks of college football if you're the quarterback at Notre Dame. Okay? That is unacceptable. If I'm thinking it, everybody in that Notre Dame building is thinking it. They're thinking, hey, we should have lightened that bag up a little bit. He probably would have came anyways. Okay? Now, the numbers for this football game, you obviously have Notre Dame, 6.5 favorite. Louisville, number 13 scoring defense in the country. Average offense they have faced 58th in the country. They have the 18th rush defense, 44th pass defense. It's a solid group. They haven't played anyone tremendously difficult on offense. They play Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech does some really nice things, but they're not gonna blow you away offensively. Okay, they're a solid group. Not taking away the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Okay, they're a solid group, but they're not gonna blow you away. Now, talking about offenses that aren't gonna blow you away, we'll go to Notre Dame. Okay, because they're gonna punch you in the mouth running the football. And Riley Leonard is going to attempt a couple passes. But for them to win this football game and cover this 6.5, Riley Leonard is going to have to throw the ball. Louisville's rush defense is no joke, guys. It's no joke, okay? Their priority is going to be force Riley Leonard to throw the football. Notre Dame, I don't think they're on the level of Michigan and the ability that Michigan has to run the football. Also, Louisville defensively is not USC. I think they're a little more stout, a little more physical defensively. So you're not going to get ran through like USC did against Michigan. And USC still played a relatively close game. So either way, this game seemingly looks like it's going to come down to the wire to me. It's probably going to come down to Riley Leonard and throwing the football. Now, maybe they're just holding back a little bit, but they're probably not because they lost to Northern Illinois earlier this year, okay? Notre Dame, in their own building, 88th in penalties this year. Louisville, 44th, not much better. Doubled it, actually. They're 50% better. So I love looking at penalties, turnovers when we have these top 15, top 16 matchups. Okay. Louisville is 10th in the turnover margin. Notre Dame, 49th in turnover margin. For me, when I looked at this line, the numbers are not telling me anything. Okay. To be quite honest with you, the numbers are telling me how is Notre Dame a 6.5 point favorite with Riley Leonard at their quarterback? Okay. They're telling me that. But the gut's been telling me as soon as I looked at this game, I thought it's Louisville all day. I'm not sure they'll win, but they will. So I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think it's going to come down to the wire, but I think Louisville's got this one in the bag. We just talked about it. Louisville at Notre Dame. That line says -4. It was actually -6.5 when I made this earlier today. South Alabama at LSU. It's South Alabama, although I hate their logo. It looks like a JPEG art. Wisconsin at South Carolina. Excuse me, not South Carolina. Southern California, -14.5. Michigan, -10. Utah, -12.5. Illinois, we already did that one. Oregon at UCLA, -24 for Oregon. Give it to me. Virginia Tech at Miami. Friday night game. Cam Ward is going to have 17 passing touchdowns in this game. Miami all day. Kentucky at Ole Miss. Sneaky good football game this weekend. I like Ole Miss to win, obviously, but I like Kentucky to somehow cover. Maybe it's a backdoor. I'm not sure. And the biggest game of the weekend, Georgia at Alabama. Let me take a sip. Georgia favored by 1.5 in Tuscaloosa. Okay, maybe this is going to be affected by a hurricane. I'm not sure. That might have factored into the gut because the gut was feeling that there's going to be a hurricane down there. So maybe that was factored into my gut pick for this game, but maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. Look, Kirby Smart. Everybody knows. He knows. Everyone in that building in Georgia knows. Okay, Alabama's been his weakness. He's 1-5 against Alabama. Now, you may say, was Alabama his weakness or was it just Nick Saban? We don't know. We're going to find out this weekend. Was it Nick Saban who had Kirby Smart's number? Like Nick Saban had all of his once coordinator numbers? Okay. Or is it just Kirby Smart cannot beat Alabama? Is it that? I lean towards, you'll find out when I pick the game. Now, some of you have come at me for saying that I believe Kalen DeBoer is the best coach in college football. I stand by that. I stand by that statement. I think the best two coaches in college football are going up against each other this weekend. Kalen DeBoer shows up in the biggest football games he plays, okay? Now, national championship against Michigan. A lot of injuries were affecting him. Michael Penix wasn't 100%. They didn't have their starting running back. A lot went into that. But before that, beating Oregon twice, beating Texas. Kalen DeBoer knows how to show up for these big-time football games. Is he still that guy? Is he still that guy in the SEC? Is he still that guy against Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs? We will find out this weekend. Now, a matchup I'm looking forward to in this game is Ryan Williams, 12-year-old wide receiver for Alabama. He's actually 17, not 12. Still, 17 is very, very young. Against an experienced, old secondary of Georgia. How is that going to play out? I'm not sure. I'm just bringing it to your attention. Watch out for that. Because that Georgia secondary is legit. Ryan Williams is legit. I'm excited to see how that plays out. How are they going to cover him? Because you're going to have to game plan for this guy that's 17 years old. That's how serious he is. Now, jumping into the numbers. Georgia, number 3 defense in all college football. And how good is that defense with how good Clemson has looked offensively post-Georgia game? It might be pretty scary, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think Alabama has a better offense overall than Clemson, so we'll find out this weekend. Again, a lot of questions with both of these football teams coming into this game. The last game that Georgia played, they beat Kentucky. The Kentucky Wildcats that got blown out of the building by South Carolina. They beat that team by 1 point. That was the last game they played. Alabama, the last game they played, they obliterated a Wisconsin Badger football team that does not get obliterated very often. But the week before that, they struggled with USF. Now, week in and week out, college football teams are most likely not the same, okay? And that's what this game comes down to. Which one of these two teams is not going to be the same that we've seen so far? The gut tells me we're going to see a better Georgia Bulldog football team than we are Alabama Crimson Tide football team. I like Georgia to win. I like them to cover. Now, at 1.5, you're basically picking them. If you're picking them, you're picking them to cover. I am picking them, and I like them to cover as well. So give me the Georgia Bulldogs, -1.5 on the road in Tuscaloosa. I think Kirby Smart's kryptonite was Nick Saban and not Alabama. Ohio State minus 25 at Michigan State. Shocker here. Nope. Give me Ohio State minus 25. The gut tells me Ohio State minus 25. We already did Georgia minus 1.5 at Alabama. Mississippi State at Texas. It's the Longhorns all day. That is the last pick for the Week 5 preview. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you want to win some money, ride with these picks. You have to do all of them. You can't pick the ones you like. That's not how it works. 12-6 last week, 52-25 overall. Hopefully we have another big week on our hands. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
35, 40, 45, 50, 45.